Greetings and welcome to thy holy face. Ave Maria. Let's talk about the miracle of the relic of Veronica's veil in the Vatican at St. Peter's Basilica. This occurred in 1849, but we need to go back a couple months to November 24th, 1848 to realize what was going on in Rome at that time. Riots and revolution organized by the Freemasonry broke out in Rome. There was violence in the streets, and the prime minister of the Papal States was murdered. And so Pope Pius IX was forced to flee in disguise and take refuge in the fortress of Gaeta. This was about 75 miles south of the city of Rome. While he was in exile, Pope Pius IX ordered public prayer of reparation and to plead our Lord for mercy on the pontifical states and for his speedy return to the Vatican. As part of these public prayers, he ordered that the relics of the wood of the true cross and the Veronica's veil be exposed for public veneration. Let's stop there for a minute. The relic of Saint Veronica, by this time, it's very aged. It was already so faint and scarcely visible. So to protect it, the canons of the Basilica would take a silken veil and place it over the veil of Veronica, the relic of the veil of Veronica. And what this did was it prevented the face from being distinguished. So really nothing could be seen through this silken veil. That's important to know because on the third day of the exposition, January 6, 1849, which so happens to be the feast of the Epiphany. I don't think there's coincidence there. The canons, kneeling in prayer and praying the prayers that were prescribed for mercy, witnessed the miracle. His face, through the Veronica's veil, had been replicated miraculously onto that silken coverlet, that silken veil. And his features became very distinct and glowing. It appeared as though he were living. His features had taken on a death-like hue, and deep sunken eyes wore an expression of great pain. What they saw was probably very similar to the image that I have behind me. Now, great care was taken to make sure that what was being seen did not have a practical explanation. The canons of the Basilica approached it very closely, examined it, and then walked away backwards and examined it from a distance. They moved from left and then to the right, and what they saw had no practical explanation. It truly was miraculous. So they rang the bells, giving call to all the faithful who had not been present that day, and the people came. They heard the bells and they came, and they saw this miraculous image. Hundreds of people witnessed this miracle. Artists were also rallied to draw what they had seen on silk canvases. These replicas, or engravings as they were called, were immediately touched to the original veil of Veronica, as well as to the true cross and to the lance of Longinus, which pierced the side of Christ. Now, all three of these relics that the engravings were touched to bore in some way the blood of Christ. So the veil of Veronica touched the face of our Lord Jesus Christ during the way of the cross, the Via Dolorosa. We know the story where Veronica broke through the crowds and she presented her linen veil to our Lord, and he touched his bloodied face to that veil. The spear of Longinus pierced the heart of Jesus shortly after his death on the cross. And then, of course, the wood of the cross was saturated with our Lord's blood. These relics are in a class of their own because of that presence of the blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. They aren't considered first, second, or third class relics. They are in a class of their own. So for 75 years, this custom was followed in the Vatican, where further copies of the image of the veil were created. In the same manner, they were all touched to these three relics. They were made of silk and linen, and they were sent not only to churches and convents, but also to the faithful. Two of these copies were sent to Venerable Leo Dupont. Now remember, Venerable Leo Dupont personally knew Sister Mary of St. Peter, who our Lord had given those beautiful revelations referring to the Holy Face devotion, and expected her to promulgate and to spread these devotions. Well, Venerable Leo Dupont helped her. She was in a Carmelite convent, unable to promulgate the devotion as Venerable Leo Dupont could. Two of these copies were sent to him. One of them he placed in the parlor of his private home, and he kept an oil lamp burning there night and day. He would invite people in for prayer and for veneration of this engraving, and soon miracles of healing began to occur when Leo would pray with these people who would come seeking prayers of healing, whether it be spiritual or physical. And he would anoint them with the oil that burned there, like I said, night and day. Over 6,000 documented miracles occurred. There are likely many more miracles because he would send this oil out to people who would write and request it. But the documented miracles tallied out to be 6,000 miracles. I'd like to note that I have heard that the oil which burned in the lamp before the Holy Face engraving never needed to be replaced and never ran out. I didn't vet that, but this is what I have heard. I also want to note that Pope Pius IX declared Venerable Leo to be one of the greatest miracle workers in the history of the church. And it all came about because of the Holy Face devotion. The wonders of the miracle at the Vatican undoubtedly played a part in the establishment of the Arch-Confraternity of the Holy Face for the world in 1885 in Tours, France. So this devotion is not only for France, it is a devotion for the entire world. And Pope Pius XII formally declared the Feast of the Holy Face of Jesus on Shrove Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday. Unfortunately, it's not in the calendars of our church now, but there are still some priests who offer the Mass of Shrove Tuesday in honor of the Holy Face of Jesus. Now, this whole presentation was to bring us to this point. While some associate other images of Christ with the devotion to the Holy Face, such as the Shroud of Turin or the veil of Mount Apollo, or maybe some other image of our Lord's face. And while they are beautiful and often have compelling origins of their own, the Archconfraternity of the Holy Face explains that according to the designs of this devotion, it is specifically the living, wounded, and sorrowful face of Christ that is the proper object of adoration for this devotion. And this image, the sorrowful face, according to the revelations given to Sister St. Peter, when offered to the Godhead, has the power to reproduce the image of God in man. And thus, as our Lord said to Sister St. Peter, are sources of grace second only to the sacraments. This is such an amazing and powerful devotion. Let us honor the face of Christ in the image of the Saint Veronica's veil. Until next time, my friends, be compassionate, have courage, and defend the rights of God.